Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm going to bring up Arthur.
Alrighty.
Hello.
Everybody.
Do you want to just start by introducing yourself?
Arthur Migliazza, Nicole's husband, a.k.a. Nicole's husband. Yeah. She was here first, so like everybody knows her, and they're, oh, you're Nicole's husband. So I'm happy being known as Nicole's husband.
So I'm excited to talk to you because you have a very interesting history that is all your own very unique story. We know a little bit about how you got here now because of Nicole's story, but you come from a musical background. So I want to talk about before you came to Westerly. What were you doing in New York? How did you get started in the music world, the music business?
I was born in Maryland. Let's start at the beginning. And around the age of 9, I started taking piano lessons. And then my teacher was great. She introduced her students to all different kinds of music, and one of them was blues piano. And there was something about it that just clicked with me. I loved the sound. I loved the fact that the left hand could be doing a bass line automatically, and that became kind of a blank canvas to me because I kind of see pictures with sounds, and so when I get a left hand going, it's like a blank canvas in which I can paint, all day long with the right. And that kind of idea really clicked with me when I was 10, or I was about 10 when I started learning blues. And my teacher saw that I was really drawn to this. She got me hooked up with a blues piano player who wasn't like necessarily a teacher, but she was a player, and she kind of took me under her wing. Showed me some different left hands, some different right hand licks, got me listening to a lot of the old guys, and there's something that in that soul, in the music that it really spoke to me, and that's all I wanted to play. And so I would spend hours, in the basement. We had this kind of free piano we got, and I would just play for hours. And then I started working professionally when I was 13. And so started opening for bands, started playing background music at people's parties, started playing at retirement homes and everything. And in high school, I started my own band with myself and a drummer. We had moved to Tucson, Arizona by this time, and I started my own band with a drummer who was a couple years older than me. And we were a drum and piano duo. We worked all throughout high school, and then into college. I've been a professional musician ever since. So I never really had a real job, just piano. And then I became more into singing and entertaining. And right up until the pandemic, right before the pandemic, I was doing mostly solo concerts in theaters, performing art centers and things where I would tell the history of boogie woogie and blues piano music, along with playing and singing and entertaining. And that's how I met Nicole. Actually, in 2015, I was doing an off-Broadway show in the same theater, or same building as she was. There was a number of theaters there. And I was doing a 2-piano show about the history of boogie woogie with a man who had been playing with Chuck Berry for about 50 years. And he wrote this show, and we did 2 pianos, and then I met Nicole in the lobby and asked her out, and then we've seen each other every day since. That was in 2015. Now we have 2 kids, and we're living in Westerly. There you go, in a nutshell.
So boogie woogie, for those who don't know, what differentiates or what is like the subgenre of boogie woogie in blues and piano music?
So blues and boogie woogie piano really go hand in hand. One's just basically faster. Everyone who plays blues piano usually plays some boogie woogies, and people who play boogie woogie piano can also play blues piano. It's just a kind of a tempo difference and a feeling difference, but it's all the same stuff. And then boogie woogie obviously was came after blues per se. It became a thing in the 30s and really famous in the 40s, and then transitioned into rock and roll. Chuck Berry used to say, "I'm just doing boogie woogie with an electric guitar." It's the same stuff, just with different, lyrics and a band and electric guitar.
So here's a question about Westerly and the blues. You came to Westerly. Westerly has its own very unique kind of blues history. Part of it, a lot of it, and most of it actually, originating from our sister venue up the road, the Nick.
Yeah, it's amazing.
When did you when did you find out about this blues history? Because you are playing, you're now playing the 90th anniversary of the Nick is July 29th. There's a big event. You're a part of it because it's a celebration of the Nick, but it's essentially a celebration of the blues and Westerly's own history in the blues. So did you know that coming into Westerly?
No.
Or is that something you stumbled on?
I had no idea. I just fell in love with Mystic, like Nicole, and then we started looking at Westerly more seriously, and she, got the job at the Granite, and then we were really seriously looking at Westerly, and the more seriously we looked at it, the more we fell in love with it. I didn't find out really until we had bought the house, and then, someone on her board of directors at the Granite knew the manager of the Knickerbocker All-Stars and said, "Hey, this guy's moving to town," and that's JP. JP got on my mailing list, and then when I announced that we were moving up here, he said, "Hey, you want to do something with the All-Stars?" And then I started looking at the All-Stars, started looking at the Knickerbocker, and then found out the Room Full of Blues had started, which Room Full of Blues was a name I had known already. I didn't realize their ties, and then I was like, what? This is amazing. And so we went actually to see the founders, and they are amazing. You can tell why they became world famous, because they're the real deal. As soon as they start playing, you can't stop moving. And that's a sign of a good band right there.
Yeah. And now you're playing. So what are you doing on July 29th?
So July 29th, they asked me to sit in for a couple numbers. I'm doing one near the front, and then I'm doing the last number with them. We're doing a boogie woogie rendition of Swanee River Boogie. And it's arranged for the full band, featuring the piano. I get to let loose a little bit. It's going to be great. I'm extremely honored to be so quickly welcomed into the community. But it's amazing here. The talent, I cannot stop being blown away by. Even the Grand Theater, like Nicole said, is mostly volunteers. The actors, they basically they're volunteering, and I have been blown away by every show I've seen there.
That's amazing.
And the Knickerbocker, founders were awesome. We went to the Pops. The Westerly Chorus blew me away, and even the bands they had before blew me. The high school kids from Stonington area or whatever.
Yeah, that's a band from actually our music school here at the United.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like in a way I've maybe died and gone to heaven because I love it here so much.
Well, that's awesome. And that's why we do this show is to talk about people who have been here forever, but to hear new people, and we've had a couple other new people to the area say the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Our executive director, Carly, same thing. It's like drinking the Kool-Aid, but there's no Kool-Aid.
I know, I feel like maybe there's something in the water.
There's something in the water.
Something has just brainwashed me, but it's not, it's great. I can't believe it.
So talking about the Nick, and I asked Nicole the same question. What are some of your favorite places here in Westerly? What do you like to do?
Well, I've been actually, so what I'm doing right now, I at the beginning of the pandemic, I had planned to take 3 years off from performance. I still teach on the weekends, but because I was going back to school to study physical therapy. And it's a doctorate program, it's a 3.5-year thing. And I was a student at NYU, New York University. And so I finished all, but that's why we had to wait to move really until I finished my coursework. And I'm doing my last clinical rotation now at Westerly Hospital Rehab Center on Beach Street. So I'm working there as a student physical therapist. What was your question?
No, I'm just asking what your favorite things about Westerly are. And
So
yeah.
I'm working 40 hours a week. We have 2 kids at home. I'm trying to keep my music career alive and even kind of revive it somewhat now. So I haven't been out much, is what I'm getting at.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
But,
All right.
but everywhere we've been, the places she listed, you know, Amelia's, Amigos, High Hopes, the United, the Granite, I love it there. And then even walking down Elm Street to the Granite is like, it's beautiful. The library.
Yeah.
I just love everywhere I go here.
You said you took a few years off during COVID, during the pandemic. Is
Yeah.
that right? So I don't know if you started this then or not, but you have quite the following on YouTube. I think you have like 72,000 followers on YouTube or something like that when I checked. Can you talk a little about that and what you do
Sure.
on there, and how is that something that you started during the
Yeah,
pandemic?
I started, that really kind of started in 2015. I published a book on how to play boogie woogie and blues piano, or how to play boogie woogie piano, and it was published by Hal Leonard, which is one of the biggest music publisher in the world. So that book is everywhere, worldwide, in stores and everything. I started making videos that went along with the information in the book to promote the book, but also to like provide clarity for people who wanted to not only read the book and listen to the audio, but see me playing it. And so those videos started getting more views and selling more books and then like, you know, cross promoting. I also did a video for WikiHow on how to play boogie woogie piano. I wrote the article, I put a video, and that kind of became viral for as viral as you can be for a boogie woogie piano instructional video. But
I don't know, 72,000 followers.
most of my,
Impressive.
I'd love to think it's because of my performance videos, but it's mostly because of my teaching videos that
Yeah.
people have to watch it over and over and over again to figure out what's going on. So most of the subscribers are piano students. Yeah.
So do you want to do, you're teaching now, do you teach remotely?
Yeah,
Okay.
I switched to all remote during the pandemic, and then I was starting to see people in person again in New York. I'd love to start teaching in person again here, and I have a website called School of Boogie, and it's where I have a lot of my lessons up there. And because players have been so generous with me, yeah, I learned from some of the few remaining, you know, authentic players who learned from the original guys. And so throughout my life, I've always been blessed to, growing up as a kid, to have real players take me under their wing and show me things. Sorry, and nobody ever charged me a dime for lessons. And so, thank you. And so I kind of feel like it's almost my duty, in a way, to pass it on. And so I have a lot of information out there on YouTube, too. It's all free. I mean, you might have to watch some ads, but on School of Boogie, all the lessons and everything are free. Because it's like I feel like I'm the keeper of this, one of the few people who like are doing this in the authentic way, that learned from the oral tradition. And I want to pass it on so this music doesn't die. So I want to make it as available as possible to younger generations and older and whoever wants to learn. So I have a lot of free stuff out there for people who want to get their feet wet learning boogie woogie. I do charge for private lessons, but I'd love to start doing that more in person. And maybe someday have an in-person School of Boogie, like week-long camp, where people come and we learn boogie woogie every day for 5 days, and maybe get some other musicians involved. They can practice playing in a band setting and things. So I'd love to have like an actual brick and mortar kind of like School of Boogie experience.
That's great.
In the future.
I mean, it sounds like you're keeping the legacy of boogie alive on YouTube and elsewhere.
Doing what I can, yeah.
So that leads me into that last question that I ask everybody, which is, now that you're a part of this community, what do you hope to bring to this community and kind of create as a legacy here, you know, as you raise your family in this new community of Westerly?
Well, the two things I have to offer are piano and now PT. So I'd love to do both, and maybe even combine them in the future. I went to study PT in the hopes of becoming somebody who can rehab musicians to get back on stage after they get into trouble. But I'm discovering the piano itself can be used as a rehab tool, and I know there's something there. I just haven't quite put it together. Also very interested, along the way, I discovered I have a passion for pediatric physical therapy. So I'd love to get, they have that in Groton, where I did my previous 9-week rotation at Pequot Health Center, working with kids. I'd love to start something like that here, because we have people from Westerly traveling there, because there's no real pediatric physical therapy in Westerly. So I'd like to, you know, just a lot of things. I want to do whatever I can to enhance the community.
So we don't have a piano here. We also don't have a way for the audience here to listen to any of your music. But for the podcast, we are going to end with some of your music. But for the people here, where can they hear your music? Aside from, you know, the 90th coming up at the Nick, and then we've talked about doing some shows and creating some shows with you here at the United in the future as well.
Love to do some shows here. Well, in the meantime, if you have a ticket to any show at the Granite Theater, I've been playing for about an hour before every show. I found a piano that somebody wanted to donate. So we went, me and 5 other guys went physically moved that piano into the Granite lobby, had it tuned up, and I've been playing for an hour, just pre-show music while people come in and get their drinks. So you can see me at the Granite before every show.
Awesome, awesome. And for the podcast listeners, we are going to play some of your music. So
thank you.
All right.
It's great.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you very
joining
much.
us. All right, Arthur.
Thank you, guys. 100 years ago this year, W.C. Handy published a tune called the St. Louis Blues. And it was a blues song, but it became a jazz standard. During World War II, when boogie woogie was America's most popular music, there was a piano player named Earl Father Hines. Earl Father Hines took the St. Louis Blues and put a boogie woogie beat to it, called it Boogie Woogie on the St. Louis Blues. One of my closest friends and mentors, his name is Bob Seeley. He's now in his 80s, like 85. Still tours around the world playing boogie woogie and stride piano. He's recognized as one of the greatest living players and the last living link to these second generation boogie and stride piano players. He learned how to play St. Louis Blues directly from Earl Father Hines, and I learned it from Bob Seeley. So each one of us has kind of put our own thing on it. It gives me great pleasure now to play for you my version of Bob Seeley's version, of Earl Father Hines' version of the centennial W.C. Handy tune, St. Louis Blues.
Thanks for tuning in to the United Theater Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. And if you could take a moment to leave a review, we'd greatly appreciate it. Your feedback helps us create content that you love. So hit that subscribe button and leave us a review, and we'll see you on the next episode.